As expected, the Sixers stayed pretty quiet at yesterday's trade deadline. Was that the right move? Was that what we wanted after the trade away of Jarrett McCain? We're going to talk Sixers basketball. The Super Bowl is this weekend. Seahawks, Patriots. Who wins? Why? How? Prop bets, food, you name it. Super Bowl talk. And, of course, the Eagles. More thoughts, more opinions, more rumors about the downfall post Jeff Stoutland stepping away as Eagles offensive line coach. Trending in the AM, we're live, taking your thoughts and opinions on this Football Friday in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome all to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We're live, YouTube, Twitter, you know the drill. Wherever you're watching, whichever platform you're watching on, whatever you're doing, it's free to do it, live or on replay. Hit the like button on your screen, wherever it is. Share this show out. Of course, subscribe to the STT Sports Network YouTube page. It's free to do. It does not cost you a thing to support your favorite local content creators. It's just clicks, guys. So let's go. Let's like, let's subscribe, let's share, and let's vote on today's YouTube live poll question. It's real simple. Who wins the Super Bowl? Seahawks, Patriots. It's really easy. We're going to get into the Super Bowl later in the show. Super Bowl bets, Super Bowl thoughts, props, things we like to do on the Super Bowl. We're going to get all into that later on in the show. Eagles, obviously, with more drama unfolding, more guys maybe retiring. Who knows what is going on with the Philadelphia Eagles? But one thing's for certain. Nick Sirianni is planting his flag. And he's saying this is the way we're doing things now. And I'm really intrigued by this, okay? Really intrigued by this new era of Eagles football that is about to unfold. But it comes with a lot of risk. A lot of reward. And finally, obviously, the NBA trade deadline came and went. No more moves for our Philadelphia 76ers. Well, none of major value. We are going to be joined at about a half hour. Sam Oshtry from The Score and from Pace and Space podcast with Sean Bernard. Sam Oshtry is going to be joining us to talk Sixers, talk the NBA trade deadline, and the future outlook for our Philadelphia 76ers. So jam-packed. Lots on the agenda today. First couple comments coming in here. Good morning, Adam. Saw Landon Dickerson is thinking about retirement. Yeah, that's the late breaking news last night. Late rumors floating around that now that Jeff Stoutland's out, first Lane Johnson might retire. Now Landon Dickerson may. Now, I don't buy into Landon Dickerson retiring 5 or 6 years into his NFL career. I do not think that will happen, but it is something that Landon Dickerson is contemplating. Look, his body has been through more in 5 years, well, going back to college, more in the last 10 years than most bodies go through in a lifetime. Landon Dickerson's career span was never going to be this 15, 20-year career. I mean, he had 4 season-ending injuries in college alone. Obviously played in the Super Bowl last year, banged up beyond belief, played this year, barely able to move. Landon Dickerson is not going to have a long career. And I'm sure with the pain he's in from the last 2 seasons and then the loss of his man, Stout, I'm sure the word retirement did creep into his head. But I don't think it's going to happen. Sixers had the game last night, up by 10 in the third quarter. I can't say that I stay awake for West Coast games very long. It is not easy for me to do, but yeah, losing by 4 to the Lakers, it's tough to win on the road, especially the West Coast. It's tough. Game 4 of a West Coast swing. You took the first couple games from it. You got the Suns tomorrow. It's a tough spot for the Sixers to win last night. Good morning, Duck. Yeah, Sirianni's on the line. His job is on the line, and the killer is in the house. Look, I am going to give Nick Sirianni and the Eagles credit. It did not work last year. It didn't. So they're making changes. Everybody wanted change. Everyone wanted an OC with full autonomy. Well, guess what? The Eagles are doing that. They're making the change. They're giving the OC autonomy over his coaches. And now we're all pissed and worried and Sirianni this and Sirianni that. Look, I give mad credit to Nick Sirianni planting his flag into this new offense, however you want to call it. I think this is a bold move by Sirianni, moving on from Jeff Stoutland. But it also is that, look, last year wasn't good enough. And when it's not good enough, we're going to make the changes necessary. I love the risk-reward that Nick Sirianni's taken. It sucks losing Jeff Stoutland. It does. A future Eagles Hall of Famer. Maybe an NFL Hall of Famer. But I don't hate it. It's exactly what everybody wanted. I always say, grass isn't always greener. Landon Dickerson might still want to play with his kids someday. He is getting beat up and may really only have 2 to 3 more seasons. While we already need to look for the replacement for Lane Johnson, the Landon Dickerson replacement is not that far off to being needed, right? The Landon Dickerson retirement rumors, it's frustrating, but it's also, people think it has to do with Jeff Stoutland, and it might somewhat. Let's be honest. Landon Dickerson was probably thinking this before Jeff Stoutland got the push out. I don't understand why they pushed out Stoutland. Well, everybody wanted change. They are making change. Yeah, it sucks to lose, Tote. It sucks to lose the best O-line coach in football. But if he was not willing to adjust his philosophies, which are what some of the reports are, that he got frustrated when the run game wasn't working and Nick Sirianni stepped in to try to fix it. And let me tell you something. The numbers after he lost control of the run game, Stoutland, actually went up. So it's really simple. If you interview for the job of Eagles offensive coordinator and you impress in that interview and say, I want to do these changes. This is what my philosophy will be. And I don't want Stout because I got my own guy that's going to do things massively different. Everyone talks about all the time, well, maybe all these OCs turned down the Eagles because they didn't want to work with Nick Sirianni. Maybe the Eagles went through this exhaustive search, and then after losing out on 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 guys, realized that nobody wants to coach with Stout. They want to bring their own guys in. When the Eagles go through these exhaustive interviews, they're not just interviewing for the job. They're gathering information. Information on what other teams do, what they need to do right or wrong. And maybe, just maybe, they learned that we do have to give the next OC the opportunity to bring people in of their own one. Maybe that has something to do with it. What a day, what a day. Lots of Hornets trades. Yeah, I don't know what the Hornets did. The killer is in the NovaCare, and he's replacing all the old guard. Sirianni is going to get Julius Caesar. I don't know about that. I don't know. Because if you have the best at something and your O-line is in shambles, get someone not as good. See, that's not the truth. What's up, Dante? How you doing this morning? I love the changes. If we didn't make changes in another subpar season next season with the same regime, people will bitch. Exactly, Dante, this is the whole thing. All anybody wanted, all anybody asked for was for the Eagles to make change, to give the next person full autonomy. And that's what they're doing. And yet still, people are getting exactly what they asked for. And they're still complaining about it. Make that make sense. That's why it doesn't bother me as much. I'm sad. I feel the pain of someone like Jordan Mailata or Lane Johnson or Landon Dickerson when they lose Stout. I could feel it's like their dad's going to jail or something like that. It's loss of a family member. He's been here for 13, 14 years. I get it. But it wasn't working. What job? Hey, I got all these great ideas to save your business. Hire me. You know what? You're right. Here you go. You're hired. But you can't do any of the things you want because they cost money. Like, you can't handcuff the guy, Sean Mannion. Everybody wants Sean Mannion to be the next head coach because they hate Nick Sirianni. Well, how do we know if Sean Mannion's any good unless you let him make the changes necessary to be good? He's 33 years old. What guys could he have better than Stout? I don't know. It's not about who's better than Stout. Not even the least bit about who's better than Stout. It's who understands what he wants to do the most. Obviously, Stoutland pushed back about making changes last season. Stout didn't make the necessary adjustments in his jobs last season. Sirianni had to step in his role. Who's to say Stout is willing to change his philosophies to fit in with Sean Mannion's philosophies? So Sean Mannion is supposed to come here and say, I got this job because I'm going to run X. But because Stoutland's here, I better run Y. No. Between Pittsburgh and Philly, the state of Pennsylvania has the most Super Bowls. Well, there's that. Like, we got that going for us, right? How did you think Julius Caesar lost his power in his life? He put someone he liked into power and gave them his power, then got stabbed by his friends and countrymen. Yeah, I know the story. Like dad's going to jail. What? I don't know. I'm trying to come up with I didn't want to go the death route, so I'm trying to come up with a parallel there, you know? Hornets wrecked Houston to go to 8 straight. Nobody cares. Phil, we never tell our kids dad's going to jail. We tell them dad's going to college. Okay, gotcha. My bad. Never had that experience in life. Obviously, it was a bad analogy or metaphor there. I'm trying to come up with the metaphor here, but I think the loss of Jeff Stoutland, while a big deal, is not as big of a deal as people think or make it out to be. It's not like we had the best offensive line in football last year. It's not like anybody developed any better last year. If anything, people regressed last year. Flip side, Sean Mannion wants his people. Why wouldn't you let him have his people? I think the whole Landon Dickerson retirement rumor, the Jordan Mailata crying rumors, right? All that is pulling on our heartstrings and making us not see what's really going on here. And it's the change that we all wanted. We all wanted change. We're getting change, and now we're unhappy. And to me, that's the real story here. Witness protection. Maybe that's maybe that's what it is. You got to go to WITSEC, right? Or whatever it's called. Guys, continue liking, subscribing, sharing. Vote on the poll question of the day. Seahawks or Patriots? Who wins the Super Bowl? Sam Oshtry will be joining us in about 15 minutes here to talk Sixers and the NBA trade deadline. So make sure you guys are staying locked in. The next Caesar has been promised by the Senate. Is that what it is? No one's going to jail. I've had a really weird analogy. It didn't sit. It didn't work. But whatever. Look, he visited the island. Let's not go there. Absolutely not go there. Oh, stop. Anyway, keeping it to football right here till we get to the NBA trade deadline in moments, okay? I'm actually excited for this change. I'm actually excited to see how the offensive line can evolve. I'm excited to see what Sean Mannion has in store for Jalen Hurts, for the offensive line, for Saquon Barkley. I'm excited because last year was dreadful. And I didn't want to fire Nick Sirianni, but if they did, I would have accepted it because I knew change was needed. We want Super Bowls. We want World Series. We want titles in this city. Give you a break. Break you off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. I can't take this Coke. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to give the other side of the opinion. Phil doesn't like Stoutland because Phil has a problem with strict authoritarians. I actually loved strict authoritarians. I liked teachers and bosses like that when I was younger. That was not me, though. When I was a boss, I was never an authoritarian. I was the nice guy. I was the Nick Sirianni type guy. But yeah, Bills have 99 problems, but O-line ain't one. Good, cool. Phil is in denial stage. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm in denial. But denial of what? I did not say that getting rid of Jeff Stoutland is the right decision. I did not say getting rid of Jeff Stoutland, the next person will be better. What I said that you think is denial or coping or whatever is that you got exactly what you wanted. Change. Complete change. That's what you wanted. That's what you get. What's wrong with change when change is needed? Phil, having blocking problems, I feel bad for you. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't have blocking problems. Ever called out an Eagles move? I call out all the moves, all the time. I'm curious why you think I'm coping or I'm in denial here. Am I supposed to? Rick's not in the chat. Someone's got to be the yin to your guys' yang. Everyone hates the move. So someone's got to give you perspective on the move and why the move happened. That's all. That's what I'm doing. I'm giving you reasoning on why this move is happening. And to me, it makes massive sense. When you look at it without the Kelly green glasses on, you realize that this was a necessary move. Let's just go simple X's and O's, right? Simple X's and O's, which isn't my strength. But Sean Mannion comes from the McVay, Shannon, the coaching trees he's played and worked under LaFleur. A lot of under center play, a lot of motion, a lot of movement. All things that the Eagles don't do, and they haven't done the entirety of the time under Stoutland. We all wanted the Eagles to go under center more. And when did they start doing that? When Jeff Stoutland was removed as the run game coordinator, and he started feeling disrespected. Now, there is a massive risk. Let me tell you something. Getting rid of Jeff Stoutland, if the next guy doesn't work out, Duck will get his way. Nick Sirianni will be gone. Why? Because getting rid of Stoutland, your biggest leaders on your team are the O-line in this organization. Let me tell you something. If Stout goes and the O-line gets worse, the offense gets worse, Sirianni's losing that locker room completely. So, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, and you all get your wish, and Nick Sirianni's gone. Phil was anti-partisan. I thought I am partisan? I don't know. Partisan, anti-partisan, whatever. Remember that skit from SNL where Reagan has the camera on his, and he was the all-shucks granddad. Then when it was off, he was giving order to the CIA to overthrow governments. The real Sirianni. I mean, that might be the case. I don't remember that skit, but that may be the case. People need to move the F on. I agree. I'm right there with you. I have no problem with it. Do you think Sean Mannion is here if Sirianni gets fired? See, here's the thing. Everyone thinks that if the Eagles' offense struggles, then Nick Sirianni's gone. Well, if the Eagles' offense struggles, Sean Mannion's the one that's in charge of that offense. Why would Sean Mannion get promoted? Sean Mannion is either going to be here as the offensive coordinator and we're going to succeed and he's going to become a head coach in 2 years, or Sean Mannion's going to fail with Nick Sirianni and both are going to get fired. What's up, Jonathan? Good morning to you. You got Seattle 31-29. I don't know about that high scoring of a game, but I do like Seattle winning the game. Excited too. New coach to see O-line without Stout. I'm excited for it. Olympics straight start tonight. That's right. Winter Olympics are here. Lindsey Vonn going to ski and compete for America with a blown out ACL. Gotta love that dedication right there. And gotta love Lindsey Vonn. Likes the Mannion pick, but he is fairly new and inexperienced. He was not on, yeah, of course. Patrician, as in Matt Oh, I didn't catch that one. My bad. People should look forward to teams not knowing what's coming. But this is not the time to get rid of your great O-line coach. Why not? What's up, Mitchie Poo? Sirianni got to go. It's clear as day that he is the problem. What did Nick Sirianni do wrong here in this scenario? This whole scenario about Jeff Stoutland, what did he do wrong, Mitchie Poo? Because I don't think he did anything wrong in this situation that we're discussing. Being a boss is only fun when your employees are smart enough to do the job, but not smart enough to contest what you tell them to do. Yeah, that's actually not a wrong statement. Nick needs to go is such the wrong answer. But maybe one day. I think Mannion is here to replace Sirianni if the locker room drama isn't curbed because Jeffrey and Howie don't like it. And that might be the case. But success or failure of the team could dictate whether he stays or goes, anyway, as a head coach elsewhere. If they succeed, he ain't going to take over for Sirianni. It's not the way it works. Mitch, Hornets got Kobe White. Read about it. What? Yep, we know. Sirianni hate is hilarious to me. One season removed from winning the Super Bowl. I agree, Dante. I'm right there with you. One season removed from winning the Super Bowl. We've been to 2 in the last 4 years. Back-to-back division champs. And we just want to cast that aside so quickly. It's nonsense. Seahawks 30, Patriots 24. Still a little high scoring for my blood. I think if it gets high scoring, that favors the Patriots, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But I'm excited for the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl. I do. If the offense kicks off well and there's still a ton of drama, he might be gone. Doug P. only got 4 years to get his shit together. Yeah. Look, I'm okay with having a short lease on a head coach to an extent, right? I'm okay with them, 2 or 3 years after winning the Super Bowl. Hey, it ain't working anymore. We need another voice. It's fine. We don't have to become the Pittsburgh Steelers or Baltimore Ravens and have our head coaches stick around for near 2 decades. We don't need that. We don't need to rest on our laurels. We don't have to be like, when did Mike Tomlin win his Super Bowl in Pittsburgh? Like 10 years ago? John Harbaugh was like 12, 13 years ago. That does not buy him a decade of incompetence, but it buys him more than 1 year. Doug Peterson was given 4 years to rewrite the ship and then got kicked out. It was 1890. It was given 3 years and after 3 years. So 4 years after the Super Bowl. Yeah. He's not on the hot seat, Nick Sirianni, to start the season. Now, by the middle to the end of the season, maybe. But that's a different subject. If Sirianni stalked his girlfriend with a stop. I don't hate Sirianni. I don't like his coaching personality type. I think more serious coaches with stoic demeanor. And I agree. That's what I prefer in a boss as well, for the most part, as long as they do it in a respectful manner. I get that. But it obviously worked. His personality that you don't like, that I do, has gotten them to 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, has won them a Super Bowl. This week last year, we were getting prepped to play in the Super Bowl. How far we have fallen from that. He is the boss, right? He had to give some say that Stoutland got his control of the run game taken away from him. Stoutland also felt his voice wasn't being heard. Yes, Stoutland struggled in his role. Nick Sirianni stepped in and took it away from him. Rightfully so. And guess what? The offense run game got better. Got better. Before he lost weeks 1 through 13, when Jeff Stoutland was in charge of the run game, 327 carries, 1,300 rushing yards, 3.9 yards per carry. Week 14 through the wild card round, 826 rushing yards, 4.4 yards a carry. Before, Saquon had just one 100-yard rushing game in the first 12. After that, he had 3 in the final 6. Those stats come from Anthony DeBona. So hold on, taking the job away was the right decision. Obviously, Stout wasn't willing to make the adjustments. They wanted to go under center more. Maybe Stout pushed back on that. I think I heard Bitcoin is tanking. That's funny. Nick ain't half of Doug. See, I disagree. I think Nick's 10 times better than Doug Peterson. Eagles have had 25 coaches since they started. Cool. And they've only had 2 that have won Super Bowls. And we're trying to run another one out. Tomlin tackled a guy in the open field. Imagine Sirianni doing that and keeping his job. I always forget about that. People bring that up at randomly, and I always forget about that. He didn't tackle him. He tripped him, right? Pure and simple, nothing changed when it needed to. As long as things are called that fit this team's talent, I'm good. However, the concerning thing, grace under adversity isn't exactly teaming. Look, I get it. I'm on board with you. I think they made the right decision here. They made the decision that everybody wanted, and now they got it, and you're not happy. Mitch is always right because Mitch is Mitch. Phil is the Jim Cramer of sports. I don't know who Jim Cramer is, so gotcha. Sirianni stepped in and took away Stoutland, but why didn't he step in and take away play calling from Patullo? Well, that is a definite, obvious question, and that is fair, Adam. And that's why you never be the boss of your friends. You never get a job and hire your best friend or your brother or your sister because it makes being the boss that much harder. Maybe he wanted to, and I don't know. Maybe he wanted to and didn't have the guts to do it to his buddy. Stout set in his ways, older age does that. Exactly, Jonathan. Stuck in your ways. Not willing to adjust to make the necessary changes needed to succeed. Guys, we've been over 20 viewers multiple times. If you haven't, it's free to do. Like, share, subscribe. Come on, let's have a good football Friday here with some NBA talk in just a few minutes here. Let's hit those buttons, like, subscribe, share, but it's free to do. It costs you nothing to click those buttons and hit that like button. The king should always be in fear of his nobles. Their fieldums control the defense. Have you not read? No, I have not. At least I haven't in 30 years. How do you not know? I don't know. Am I supposed to? Who is he? Is the crazy finance bro? Oh, isn't he got a big coffee mug? Doesn't he break things? You think I watch that kind of stuff? No. It is better to be feared than liked. Yeah, in certain scenarios, possibly. Ageism is happening. It's ageism with Jeff Stoutland. Or Jeff Stoutland's age made him not willing to change when the boss wanted change. Nick Sirianni, Kramer says, bye, he's going up. Yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on here. You guys are trying to be way too smart for me. Remember, I went to private Catholic school. I'm not that smart. Sirianni isn't in control of that made house this season. He knew the play was bad and still let it happen. Look, the last play of the game is what it is. Last play of the season. I get it. I get it. He should have stepped in there. He didn't. It's like Chip Kelly. Once what he did was figured out, it never changed. It's the same song and dance. One thing Nick Sirianni excels at is embracing change. Fantastic point right there. Fantastic point. Sirianni is willing to make changes. Why isn't anybody else? That's the problem. Anyway, we're going to pivot here, guys. We'll catch up on the comments later because joining me now on the I Have No Sponsor hotline from The Score, from one of my favorite podcasts, Pace and Space with Sean Bernard. We got Simon Oshtry. Good morning, Sam. How you doing today?
Good morning, Phil. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad to have you on. I've been watching you and Sean for a while. Obviously, Sean is one of the longest tenured, most repetitive guests I've ever had on this show. So I'm like, I got to get somebody else on to talk the NBA trade deadline and the Sixers. I'm like, what better person than the guy that he does work with, Sam? So thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Obviously, trade deadline came and went yesterday. The biggest news was from the day before, the Jarrett McCain trade. Talk about the Jarrett McCain trade for me for a little bit.
Yeah, so obviously Sixers fans are really pissed right now. This fan base is furious. This fan base is really upset right now, and understandably so, because you feel like you have this window right now where this team is playing. Until last night, they were playing really well, had won 5 in a row. Joel Embiid is playing at an MVP level where you didn't really think you would get back to that point. The emergence of VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, even though he's in a shooting slump now, still playing an all-NBA level. All these factors, you're like, the East is wide open. We have an opportunity to go capitalize right now. And they didn't really do much. I don't think they got worse by trading Jared McCain. They obviously didn't get any better, but I can understand, and people really hate the Jared McCain. Everyone has an attachment to him, and those 23 games were awesome last year. But I can understand trading away Jared McCain when he doesn't fit into your present or your future. It was pretty obvious all season. Nick Nurse was not a fan of his. For whatever reason, I could tell you some reasons. Number one, his defense was awful this year. Nick Nurse didn't trust him defensively, and he didn't look like the same player. And that it was his confidence, it was his athleticism, his burst, his shot making, creation, all of it. He just didn't look like the same player that we saw in those 23 games last year. So they're not saying necessarily that the Sixers, like, they don't believe in Jared McCain long term. He can't be a good player in the league. I think what this signals is they don't think he's a fit both in the present and long term for a backcourt with VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, because his ceiling really is a good role player, a good reserve. He's never going to be on the court consistently, at least in the starting lineup, with those guys, because that's just too small and a poor defensive trio between those three. So I know for the most part, I mean, I guess not everyone's upset about it, at least online. People have been attacking me like crazy because I said it wasn't that bad of a trade, but I can understand the reasoning from the Sixers' perspective.
So I look at it 2 different ways. 3 different ways, actually. One, I think the trade in a vacuum on its own, getting a first-round pick, which we didn't have, which could turn into a half-decent pick, it's good value. You got good return for Jared McCain. I agree with everything you said. He wasn't obviously in Nick Nurse's favors and rotation. But I also look at someone like Tyrese Maxey, who you mentioned a moment ago, and his shooting slump. If it didn't mean that another trade happened. If they would have gone out and found another guard that can play, because I've been saying all along, we've got to watch Tyrese Maxey's minutes, because you can see he's getting a little gassed out there occasionally. What was he, 1 of 9 last night from 3, another bad night last night. Like, you're putting a lot of pressure on VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey to play big minutes every single night. And that's where I really struggle with that. And then the third part of it is, now you're forced to keep Quentin Grimes after the season. There's no way around it. You have to, overpay to retain him. So it's good, the trade, but I think it has, follow-up results that kind of could be problems for this team long term.
100%. It's a good point about Quentin Grimes, because now he has the leverage in those negotiations this offseason, because you're right that they kind of do have to keep him, or else this really is a botch in a lot of ways. But beyond that, it's really just like they didn't see Jared McCain as a long-term fit with VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. And yeah, he can give you decent backup minutes, but Nick Nurse didn't really even trust him for that this season. If he can return to the same player he was last year in those 23 games, then yeah, he has a role he would have a role as a really good reserve. But I think it was a combination of a lot of things for the Sixers, where number one, they didn't see him as a fit this year or for the future with the backcourt they have, and that includes Grimes in the future. They also had to duck the tax, which is part of it. Like, they wanted to get below the apron, or excuse me, the tax. And I didn't think they did this move to duck the tax, but I think they were thinking about moving off McCain, wanted to get something back for him now. And this move also helped them duck the tax. It helped them to accomplish to duck the tax. So it was a combination of a lot of factors. And I also think you're right. Like, McCain's value is only going to get worse and worse if he continues to fall out of favor with Nick Nurse and isn't playing consistently. So get a decent value, a decent return for him now. I actually think it was an overpay for Jared McCain by the Thunder. The Thunder can just afford it because they have so many first-round picks, just an abundance of them. It's ridiculous. So they can just give a Houston Rockets first-round pick, which could be anywhere between like 22 and 26 probably. And that's fine. Sorry. But yeah, I was just to finish up, I was going to say, I think the return is solid, and I only think it was going to get worse as Jared McCain's tenure continued in Philly.
It's almost like that, those 3 good games he had, they sold as high as they could on Jared McCain. The problem is then they did follow it up. They did trade Eric Gordon away to clear out that roster spot. so you can upgrade, or upgrade the contract of Barlow and Walker. But now I have a fear. You're one guard injury away from Kyle Lowry playing guard minutes for this team again. And, obviously the buyout market is now where the Sixers are going to probably attack and probably add somebody. All the names I'm seeing are forwards and backup centers and stuff like that. Is there going? Steve's asking buyout market for the Sixers. Any options? Is there anything there in the buyout market for the Sixers in the guard department? Maybe.
There's one name I'd be targeting, and that's Lonzo Ball. He's had a really bad year for the Cavs, which is why obviously he's not with them anymore. But I still like Lonzo Ball. He's a really big guard. He could defend on that end, and he still brings some value as a guy who can push the pace. Great passer. His shot's a little inconsistent, but as a backup guard, I think Lonzo Ball can still be a really good player, and I think he would fit well with the Sixers. Now, I don't necessarily think he's going to become a Sixer. There's rumors that he's going to go join his brother in Charlotte, LaMelo Ball, but that's a guy I'd be targeting. And I was a little surprised they weren't more aggressive getting another guard, whether it was like a Chris Dunn somewhere, because there were some options out there where the salaries would work. But Lonzo Ball is definitely a name to watch out for.
You mentioned the Hornets there. So, this guy here, Josh Allen's tournament machine, he's a huge Hornets fan. He's in my chat every morning. All I do is talk Eagles and Sixers, and he's dropping Hornets comments nonstop.
That's a loyal one.
Talk something for this guy here. We don't even know his name. He changes his name on the show every day. Talk about the Charlotte Hornets real quick, because he's excited because of their win streak right now.
Just to appease our guy, they've won 8 straight. Longest winning streak since 1998-99 for the Charlotte Hornets. Unbelievable.
I couldn't even have told you that. I had no clue.
It's crazy, right? Like they've been such a lowly franchise for so long, but this team and this starting lineup that's come together with Mo Diabata, LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Con Knipple, and Brandon Miller, when those guys are healthy, that is an unbelievable offensive starting lineup. They can score with the best of them in the league, and everything's clicking right now. They just got to stay healthy and continue developing the young guys, and they just got Kobe White, who's a good bench scorer. I'm in on the Hornets.
Yep. Cam Thomas, Mitchie Poo is saying in the chat for the buyout market. I know there's going to be a lot of people interested in him as well. If they don't go the guard route, do you think this – because I think after they converted Barlow and Walker's contract, they still have one roster spot open right now, right? What do you think they will do with that one roster spot then?
So I do think they're going to go for guard depth, and I don't know in the buyout market, and Lonzo Ball is a name to target. There's a couple others, but I don't think it's going to be some impactful guard. I wouldn't want Cam Thomas. He's obviously just hit waivers, so he's available. He's an empty stats guy. He's not a winning player. I don't think he would really contribute what the Sixers need as just like a microwave scoring guy, which is what he would be off the bench for whatever team he goes to. I wouldn't like that fit for the Sixers, but I do think they're going to use that on some guard depth, because you're right that they're one injury away to some of those guys, and Kyle Lowry has to play real minutes for you. I also do think when people are talking about the bench, and the bench did not play a lot last night, and they really struggled last night. Nick Nurse was reluctant to even deploy the bench against the Lakers in LA. But these guys, Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes has to play better. They have to play a ton of minutes, back to their like early season minutes type that they were playing earlier the year, where they have to make a playoff push. They're the 5 seed right now. Like there's teams behind them who are coming. The Cavs have passed them. They have to make a playoff push and have to put some win streaks together. So you're going to see these guys play a ton of minutes after the All-Star break where they're refreshed. They get a few days off. I think the bench is not going to be as big of a factor as people want it to be, as long as they stay healthy.
So the Jarrett McCain trade, when it happened, it shocked everybody. And before the Jarrett McCain trade, you had a quote from Joel Embiid, like, let's make a run. Let's go get better. We've got a chance. And then after the McCain trade, fans went into outrage. But also you had beat reporters and news media outlets reporting that the Sixers were trying to make another move. Do you think that they did actually try? I don't want to say Giannis, so to speak, but do you think they did? Daryl Morey's been known for the big home run swings. Do you think he tried to make those moves and just couldn't because – you'd have to trade VJ and Paul George, and no one wants Paul George, and the Sixers didn't want to trade VJ. But do you think they were at least trying to improve the team?
I think they were trying to improve the team. I don't think they were trying to make a big swing. And because there wasn't some huge move out there that was going to change the Sixers championship ceiling. There was nothing out there that was like, oh yeah, they're going to increase their championship chances. Think about the big names like Harden. What Daryl Morey and him would never speak again. That wasn't an option. Even though that would have been pretty interesting. Can you
choke
imagine?
on my coffee here?
Like Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant was on the market, but ended up staying with the Grizzlies. Think about these names. These aren't guys that would fit with the Sixers right now. They can't afford them even. So there wasn't some huge name that was going to change the Sixers ceiling. Yet, do Sixers fans, I understand that they wanted some more depth for their team. Yeah, sure. But there weren't a lot of moves out there. They were in a difficult financial situation, having to convert those two contracts, having to deduct the tax because of their owner. So I didn't see any moves out there that was like, wow, this is such a great move. Now the Sixers, we're going to lose to the Cavs or Pistons in a playoff series, and now this piece is going to put them over the hump. So I understand people are pissed that they're playing really well right now, and all these players are playing better than any of us could have imagined. But I didn't see any move out there that was going to raise their ceiling to that level.
The other part of that is, like, over the last week, there have been how many trades? Jaron, you mentioned a bunch of them, Anthony Davis. I had no idea, even say they were interested in Giannis or Kawhi Leonard, the big names. I have no idea what anybody was worth, actually, because some of these trades made no sense to me. Teams that were buying when they should be selling, guys going for one draft pick versus other guys going for three. Like, the value at this trade deadline was one of the most confusing I've seen in recent memory.
It's a really good point, because think about what Anthony Davis was traded for, which was essentially dirt. You could call it a glorified salary dump if you want, where it was not really valuable, 2 first-round picks and some players and all that stuff. And then you compare that to Vaka Zubac, who was traded for 2 really valuable first-round picks, including a heavily protected one in this upcoming draft that could be the 5th pick in the draft that the Clippers land. So who would you think is a better player? You'd probably consider Anthony Davis. But when it comes down to the contracts, the injury history, the extension you're going to have to offer Anthony Davis, there's so much that goes into a value for a player more than just their talent and their fit on a team. So it's a really good point. It's really what the market is for every single person and what teams are willing to pay.
Yep. But anyway, the deadline's passed, right? We've got, just about 35, 40 games left. The Sixers are sitting there at the top half of the Eastern Conference in the 5 or 6 seat now after last night. How do you feel now? You obviously, we move on from Jarrett McCain, but the squad is basically what it's going to be now. Like, where are you vibe-wise with the chances that this Sixers team? Let me precursor this question. I've stuck to my guns. I came into the season, I said, I'm putting no expectations. No matter what happens, I'm just going to enjoy the season. I'm not going to let myself get too high or too low on this team. But every week goes by, and I'm finding it harder not to put any expectations on this squad. So where are you at with this team right now?
I would still tell everyone to temper your expectations here. I actually think this team should be better than what their win total indicates. But when you consider something that I said earlier, which was we never thought Embiid was going to be playing at an MVP level again. We didn't think Maxey was going to emerge to this all-NBA level type guard that he was really for the first 2.5 months of the season. He's dipped a little bit over the last few weeks. We never thought VJ Edgecombe was going to be this. When Paul George was in the lineup, we didn't expect the health and production that he was bringing on both ends. Kelly Oubre, as a shooter, has been better. He's having career-high numbers from 3. So all these guys individually are exceeding their expectations. And Dominic Barlow, even one of the best two-way signings you could imagine. But the team was still around 9-7 in January. And I thought like the wins weren't necessarily coming. Obviously, you lose an ugly one to the Nuggets early in January. There's some other games where you have to pick up those wins where they should be in a better position in the standings. But now you're in a situation where you're probably not going to have a home playoff series to start the playoffs. And you're going to be without Paul George for the next 25 games. The key is getting to the playoffs healthy. And that starts with Joel Embiid, of course. That backcourt needs to be healthy, and Joel Embiid needs to be healthy because he's playing at an MVP level right now, but we're still 3 months away, 2 months and 2.5 months away from April when the playoffs start. So there's a long road in between then where Embiid has to continue to stay healthy. They need to continue to manage him, but while also winning games. And in this stretch without Paul George, it's going to come down to the bench. Guys like Quentin Grimes have to step up, and he only attempted 2 field goals last night, had a bunch of bad turnovers, some bad fouls. Wasn't enough. And then Kelly Oubre is going to have more of an impact. He was awful last night. One of his worst games I can remember in a Sixers uniform in a while. Bad shot selection, bad defense, all of it. So everyone's going to have to pick up some slack without Paul George. But I think this team can make a legitimate playoff run if it gets the right path. But it has to stay the course without Paul George until the playoffs. When they get there, if they get the right path, maybe they run into a Toronto in the first round, and then they get a Pistons who you never know how injuries play out. This team could make a path. It has the talent to make a real run in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Do you think the Paul George suspension changed anything? Because while it seems on paper it's a big deal, it is a big deal. I'm not trying to downplay it, but I see people saying that the Sixers had to change their philosophies at the deadline and moving forward because of Paul George. And I, like you, staying the course. I kind of feel like, it's just getting to the playoffs at this point and being healthy. Like, the loss of Paul George, while big, doesn't change the plan for this season.
I'm completely with you. The only thing it really changed was it made it easier to actually duck the tax because you didn't have to pay Paul George a decent amount of money. But I think their plan was this is the team they're rolling with into the playoffs, and that didn't change when Paul George got suspended. You just have to weather the storm without him. But now you actually have a better chance of him being healthy for the playoffs. And yeah, you want him to get more rhythm and more reps with Maxey, Edgecombe, Embiid, and all those guys. But at least he's going to be healthy for the playoffs now. This is an injury-prone guy, so there is a positive there.
Talk a little bit about VJ Edgecombe here, because obviously it's been a very exciting rookie season. He's exceeding all expectations. Obviously, in a very short window, it looks like it was the right decision to draft him, not Ace Bailey at number 3. And this is about the point of the season, maybe in the next couple of weeks, where rookies sometimes tend to hit a wall. He's been playing a lot of minutes. What should be Sixers fans' expectations for VJ Edgecombe throughout the rest of the season and when we get to the playoffs, to continue the way he's going? Should we expect maybe a little bit of a drop off? Should we temper our expectations for him at all?
I'd absolutely temper the expectations just because, he's played 2 college seasons at this point. And so that's always hard for any rookie to come in and have to play essentially quadruple what a normal college season would be in some ways if you get into the playoffs and all that. So it's difficult, and it would be fair and not unreasonable if he slips up a little bit, maybe from 3, maybe his athleticism, all this stuff. But on the flip side, the Sixers need him now more than ever. Without Paul George, without Jared McCain, they lost some depth. He's going to be playing a ton of minutes. They need him now more than ever to play some of his best basketball. So that's a lot of pressure on a rookie. But I think he can live up to that. What you saw him contribute immediately, on both ends, as a defender, as a playmaker, as a driver, attacking closeouts. His shooting was better than could have imagined. So I think I think they need him to play really well, and I think he's capable of it, even despite a potential wall. I do want to say last night was 2 very different VG Edgecombes. In the first half against the Lakers, he was terrific. And then you go to the second half, and he's kind of playing his out-of-control, wild game where he's attacking the rim, and there's 3 guys at the rim, and he's going for these crazy finishes, and he just needs to play more under control and more with a plan at the rim, and that'll help him with some of these interesting, I guess, if you want to call it, decisions at the rim that he sometimes does, because he's so athletic. He can just he thinks he can just jump over and dunk on anybody.
Yeah, the thing that when I think about tempering expectations, I do get all the hitting the rookie wall, and this is a lot of basketball that he's playing. But then I think about, I don't want to know if I want to use the word clutch gene or not, but the guy wants the ball in the big moments, and that is something I don't necessarily think hits a wall. He's still going to want the ball in those big moments. And that's something that's very refreshing in this city, is to see a young kid with that kind of edge so early in their career. Normally it takes a little while to develop that killer instinct.
And that's something you can't teach, right? Like that's like you said, a killer instinct. That's a mentality thing. And I think you're right, where he has the mental makeup where if he does hit a wall and he struggles for a little bit, it's not going to affect him mentally. He's going to be unfazed by that, and he's still going to go out with utmost confidence. So that's what you want in any rookie or any guy who's going to be part of your franchise for the future.
All right, so we're talking to Sam Oshtry here, obviously from The Score and Pace and Space podcast with Sean Bernard. Final thoughts on the Sixers season. Like, where do you see, like, if you're going to set expectations, the highest expectation and your lowest expectation the rest of the way here?
I want to be hopeful. I really want to be hopeful.
That was not very convincing. You don't even have to answer the rest of it.
But it's hard. It's hard, right? It's hard to be hopeful if you're a Sixers fan and everything we've seen and gone through. So before the season, it was smart to lower expectations. I don't think just because they've exceeded our expectations and exceeded what they were last year, we should start raising them to, this team can finally make an Eastern Conference Finals. So look, the lowest possible outcome. If they got into the play-in and had to play a playing game to get into the playoffs, that would be really bad. But the lowest possible outcome to me is a first round exit. If they win a playoff series, that's a successful season in my mind. I do think people believe that in this East, because the East is so bad, they can make an Eastern Conference Finals run. And I don't think it's crazy. Like, if the Celtics and Sixers play in a series tomorrow without Jason Tatum, I got the Sixers winning that series. So there is a path there. So I don't want to just say, yeah, hope for an Eastern Conference Finals run, but that's the high end. Like, I could see this team absolutely landing in the Eastern Conference Finals with a decent path. But at the same time, I go see them losing in a heartbreaking Game 7 in round 1 too, because it's the Sixers after all.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So real quick, before I let you go, it is Super Bowl weekend. You used to do a lot of work with Fox the Gambler and stuff like that. I love betting the Super Bowl. I love the fun and the excitement of all the prop bets. Do you have any thoughts on the Super Bowl? Do you have any fun prop bets? And then I have 2 prop bets I want to give you. I want to see if you're as excited about them as I am.
All right, so I'll give you one fun prop bet. Well, first, I like Ramondre Stevenson to win MVP. But then a prop bet that I like, that's a fun one, is over 2.5 players to throw a pass. You got that?
That's what. Were you listening? I recorded a video on that last night.
Wow.
That is my favorite prop bet. It's what, plus 160 on DraftKings.
Yep, that's what I saw.
Love that.
I should have access to your notes then. We're on the same page.
I got one other one. Because I love, storylines and weird storylines. The last time Seattle was in the Super Bowl, what did they do on the 1-yard line? Instead of handing it off, they threw a pass. So you can bet a 1-yard touchdown pass or less for Seattle at 11-1.
Wow. And you
can
taking it?
bet just to so that's a touchdown pass. You could get it at plus 550 just to throw it and it be incomplete from the 1-yard line.
That's a great bet. You could see that happening, right? Like a fake QB sneak push thing that the Eagles have done when they give it to Dallas Goedert. You could see that happening for sure. I like that a lot. I'm going to go look at that as well. But those are 2 fun prop bets. Yeah. The other thing
I don't know if you can find 4 players throwing a pass, but I think the 3 players throwing a pass. I mean, everybody loves to have that. Everybody wants that Super Bowl moment, like the Philly special now. So you're going to get a trick play at all times.
Well, also Cooper Kupp is playing in the Super Bowl, and he threw a pass in the last Super Bowl he played in. So that's the guy. If you're going to do a trick play, he actually has a real arm. So the over/under is 2.5. I don't know if you can ladder that somehow, but I just saw 2.5. But the last thing I'll say is I like the Pats. I think the Pats win outright.
All right, I got you. All right, we ask every guest the first time they're on their show this question, and then you can leave. Goodfellas or Godfather? Which movie are you taking?
Goodfellas. 100 times out of 100.
I love it. That is the popular answer. What do you got going on? Obviously, it's a busy weekend with the NBA trade line just wrapping up. What do you got going on in the Score and with the podcast world?
Yeah, so follow me on Twitter at SOSHTRY, Oshtry. You can find all my work there for the Score. Check out the app on the Score. Listen to Pace and Space podcast. You can check out my newsletter on Substack. It's a daily newsletter that just recaps everything going on in the NBA every single morning in your inbox at 8 a.m. Some of my work is on there too, so you can find that at substack.com/Soshtry, SOSHTRY. And Phil, I appreciate you having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot. We'll do it again soon, maybe closer to the playoffs, my man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Talk to you.
Thanks. That was Sam Oshtry right there on the I Have No Sponsor hotline. Real quick, let's recap, let's refresh, let's reset here. You guys, you're watching Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. Only 11 of you have done it, but please hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. Special thanks. After the show, I'll add all Sam's stuff to the link down below, and we'll clip out his show for everybody to rewatch that interview. Great stuff, great thoughts, great opinions on the Sixers here. I tried to keep up with your comments, guys. I missed a lot of them, though. Was not gatekeeping, by the way, TMZ. I was doing the best I could. Now let's fire Nick Sirianni. So go from the Sixers right back to Nick Sirianni, Mitchie Poo. That's what I love about you. That is what I love. It never stops, the Nick Sirianni hate. I do disagree with Sam on the Patriots winning outright. So there's obviously the Super Bowl going on this weekend, and I like him. I love the prop bet. Over 2.5 players throwing a pass at plus 160 with the love of the Philly special. Since then, you are always going to see teams want to run trick plays in the Super Bowl. They all live for the moment. They all live for that, that special play. So everybody's going to try it. So I love that one. Him stealing my prop bet and then a 1-yard touchdown pass from Seattle versus the interception they threw from the 1-yard line years back, 11-1. The two best prop bets in the world right there. It's over, Nick. It's not over. It's never over. It's over when I say it's over. What is your lock? 2.5 pass players throwing a pass, plus 160. A 1-yard touchdown pass, 11-1. A 1-yard pass attempt from the 1-yard line, plus 550. They're my prop bets. I'm taking Seattle to win this game. Not cover. The spread's up to 4.5. I got Seattle 24-20 over the Patriots. So I got take the Pats and the under. Because my narrative has been since day one of the playoffs, it's defense is going to win this year. And Seattle's got the best defense out of the two teams. New England's got a good defense as well. Drake May finished second in the MVP voting last night to Matthew Stafford. Where did Sam Bradford's name come from? From Matthew Stafford won the MVP. One close vote. He got 25. Drake May got 23 of the 51st place votes. So there's that. Is it Sean Mannion or Sean Minions? It's Sean Mannion. Josh Allen roots Seahawks. I'm sure he does. Wasn't the Philly special the last time a non-quarterback has a touchdown pass? I'm guessing that's correct. It's not 2.5 touchdown passes. It's just 2.5 passes, or players to throw a pass. So a punt fake, a field goal fake, anything. So it doesn't have to be a touchdown, the pass we're talking about. Is this the year the Phillies look in the mirror and realize they're not getting any younger, or is that 2022? We're going to swing to the Phillies on this basketball football Friday. I like that 3 players throw a pass. I think it's a fun prop. I think the odds say at being only plus 160 that there's a legit chance that it could happen. Do I want Patriots? I order to what? In order to motivate Allen, or will it? Oh, so do you root for the Patriots because it'll push Josh Allen? No, I don't know. I don't know about that. You can never root for your division rivals. That's why I'm a Bills fan, because I never rooted for the Giants, Redskins at the time, and Cowboys against the Bills. I could never do that. Couldn't. If Vic retires, Nick should hire me as TC. So you think you could? Everyone always says I should be calling plays. I know I don't have that skill. You have that skill? All right. Look, here's the thing. I think there's more to the Vic Fangio potential retirement, along with Jeff Stoutland moving on, than people realize. I think it comes down to the old heads not wanting to make changes, not being willing to move off their stubborn ways. I do. I really do. How about 4.5 people kicking the ball? Ooh, I wish I didn't see that anywhere, but there was a tab that said special teams props. After the show, I'm looking that one up because that would be pretty interesting. What are the odds of the Eagles firing Nick Sirianni? I don't know. Well, let me tell you something. While I was looking at Super Bowl props, okay, last night, it was about 8 o'clock last night, I was looking at Super Bowl props. It showed next year's futures. As much as everyone is complaining about the Eagles and their offseason and Jeff Stoutland and Vic Fangio and maybe losing Landon Dickerson, despite all the drama, guess what? The Eagles are the 4th favorite to win the Super Bowl next year at 13-1. I don't even remember who the first 3 were. But 4th team favorite to win the Super Bowl. So while we think that the sky is falling in Philadelphia with the Eagles, guess what? The odds makers say it's not. And the odds makers tend to be right more often than not. 6.5 players with rushes. I don't know if that one excites me as much, because New England has a 2 running. Both teams, oh no, Charbonnet is out for the Seahawks, right? So they would only have, I don't know. With jet sweeps, with the creative offenses that they've got, both teams, I don't know if that would be a good, juicy odd to bet right there. I just want one, then Eagles can have it back. Gotcha. Either way, Josh getting owned with Sam Darnold, yes, absolutely. The Josh The Sam Darnold story lives on for another day or two. I love getting Phil. Look, I move the pen a lot because I got to write down timestamps, okay, of what I want to clip out. All right, because the clipping program only works 6 times a month. So I got to save my 6 times a month, and I got to write numbers down on my paper here. All right, you ain't doing shit. Nothing is going to motivate Alan when you get out of bed every day looking at. Yeah, that's true. Hallie, yeah. Tweet out the either way hot take. I dare you. What? Tweet out the either way? I don't understand what you're saying. You know who didn't get married last offseason? Sam Darnold and Drake May. That is true. That is true. Who gets fired first, Nick Sirianni or Nick Nurse or Rick Tocchet? Why can't we put Rob Thompson in that? Okay? Which coach in Philadelphia gets fired first? I think it's a great question. I'm writing it down. That'll be a poll question on YouTube and on Twitter later today. I guarantee it. I don't know. It won't be Nick Sirianni because Nurse and Tocchet seasons will end first. And Nick Sirianni at earliest wouldn't get fired till next January or February. Rob Thompson could get fired in June. He could. Which could Nick Nurse or Rick Tocchet be fired by June? Possibly. Man, I think it's Rob Thompson is the answer. But of the 3 names you put there, Nick Nurse most likely is. Okay? So, you only asked 3 names. I'll say Nick Nurse. But I think Rob Thompson gets fired. Look, I talked about Chris Goddard and Matthew Fitzpatrick. I was hyped on Matthew Fitzpatrick on Fairway to Heaven Thursdays at 6 p.m. I told you Goddard. I told you Fitzpatrick. I told you Jake Knapp. It's a long event, though, so there's a lot of time left in the waste management. What are the odds that Cardi B twerks on the field after her boyfriend, Stephon Diggs, wins MVP? Oh, you know, Sam has Ramon Stevenson as MVP. You got Diggs winning MVP. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, she definitely would, though, by the way. Do you think Vic just tired of all 3 and outs in the second half? He probably was. He was tired of the offense. He was tired of the defense. There was clearly some form of drama in the locker room this past year, and Vic is a stubborn old man and don't want to deal with drama. He doesn't. 3.5 challenges. Maybe. Allen should be more motivated by Darnold. He should be, but he's not. He's probably drinking his sorrows away this weekend. Am I streaming the Super Bowl? I have not decided. We are going live tonight at 7:30. You all loved it over the New Year's holiday. My boy, Connor, my 10-year-old nephew, he hit me up. He's like, dude, I want to do another podcast. I'm like, let's do one. He's like, can we do one on the NBA trade deadline? So live tonight at 7:30 on this channel, Connor and me back together on screen again today. We're going to talk tonight into the night. We're going to talk basketball. We're going to talk Sixers. We're going to talk Kobe White and the Hornets probably. We're going to talk all NBA, 7:30 tonight. How long we'll go? I don't know. Maybe we'll even sneak my brother in on his appearance as well. There's no question the 3 and outs played a role. Absolutely. But on the Super Bowl, Mitchie Poo, I don't know what I'm doing. It's my first Super Bowl off in 30 years. So I just watch the game on my TV upstairs and get drunk. I was invited to a Super Bowl party. I just don't know if I feel like driving home after drinking at a party or stream it. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do for the Super Bowl. It's weird. I've never had a Super Bowl off, so I don't know. I say Rick Tocchet gets fired first. Man, that'd be crazy. A one and done for Rick Tocchet with the Flyers. That would be a big admittance of mistake from Danny Briere. Barner, anytime touchdown. I'll write it down. I'll look at it. I'm not sure on the touchdowns. Rob Thompson, too. Yeah, Rob Thompson, to me, would be the one that gets fired first. Good morning, Elephant in the Room. Sixers joke. Well, we just spent the last 30 minutes with Sam Oshtry of The Score talking about the Sixers, and he says no. He would disagree with that comment. That Helly chick is cute, but what am I missing? I don't know, just not your style, I guess. I told you Carson Schwarzenegger was the defense rookie of the year. You did. That's what a stud rookie linebacker looks like. Look, I get it. I know you're not a Jahad Campbell fan. I know it. Okay? I knew he wasn't winning at John Campbell after he lost his spot as the role, but he was a favorite early on in the season. It depends on how Talk handles Mitchkoff. Yeah, I guess so. Either way, Josh owns Sam Darnold or division rivals. Yep. So back to Sirianni. The last play is the best example of what went wrong with the Eagles this season. 1,000% agree with you. The last play of the year is what went wrong. And I think it was a breaking point. It was a boiling point for a lot of people, coaching, players, everything. And it is going to dictate a lot of what's happening and what's going to happen this offseason. You can't have a situation where you've got to play like that, where everyone knows it's not going to work, and you still run it. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make those changes. So let's accept the changes that are being made. That's cool how he hit you up. What? Ejections. Oh, man. Going to all the props. All right? If you've got prop bets, like odds for any of these, put them up there. Stream super if not busy. Oh, my nephew hits me up every day. We talk every day. Dickerson is contemplating retirement. We know that. We've discussed that. I don't think he is going to retire. I think it's a combination of the frustration of how the season ended, how his body feels, which is obviously horrendous, and rightfully so. And then you throw in Jeff Stoutland. But I fully expect Landon Dickerson to be back next year. But Landon Dickerson will not have a long career in the NFL, and we knew that from the get-go. I mean, in 4 years at college, he had season-ending injuries every single year. He's been banged up 2 of his 5 years pretty badly in his NFL career. I get it. And if he did retire and Lane retired, God, we'd be shit out of water right there. Sirianni incompetence and a confused locker room at leadership decision-making, and Sirianni doing nothing. This is a microcosm of the issues all season. I wouldn't say Sirianni incompetence, okay? All right? Him not doing anything at the end there is a microcosm. The locker room leadership confused. That's the thing. But I wouldn't use the word incompetent with Sirianni. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. Stiefel nepotism is real. I'm just handing. Did you want me to hand you a show, Big Al? If you want to do a show, I will hand you a show. All right? It'll be EOP nepotism, okay? Sure. But yes, I am giving my nephew a free show to do tonight. It's him. He's going to dictate the conversation tonight. Our O-line is cooked. I said before, 2 of our first picks had to be O-line. Shit. We might need to make 3 of our first 4 draft picks on the offensive line. Really? I wonder what the odds are on an O-line scoring a touchdown. Yeah, I mean, I can't look it up while we're on the show right now, but I'm sure there might be some. On a normal football game, you typically can't bet an offensive lineman to win it, score a touchdown, but you could definitely probably find the odds somewhere for the Super Bowl. No doubt that at all. Can't wait until we draft another Adem Bono at the pick we got for McCain. Oh, man. Yeah. Pam Anderson, age 27, about is hot. What? Stephon Diggs arrested on March 31st, 20% per Polymarket. What? What's he getting arrested for? I don't even know. Is he in trouble? If Hurts runs, you have game tonight. What? It's cool how your nephew hit you. He does it all the time. We text every day. Shaheed and Seattle would need to receive the opening kick, but I'm betting the opening kickoff for a touchdown. I bet this back when Devin Hester did it in 07. Dude, were you old enough to bet in 07, Steve? Anyway, yeah, I don't hate that. Again, you would need Seattle to get the opening kickoff, but yeah, I don't hate that. You think Hurts should have called audible the last play of the season? Yeah, he probably should have called an audible. Was he allowed to? I don't know. He might have been too frustrated to call an audible because he asked Sirianni to make a change, and Sirianni didn't change it. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to react to that. I think the Dickerson hesitance is very real. Oh, it's definitely very real. I'm not trying to downplay the Landon Dickerson rumors. Just thinking at his age, only 5 years in the NFL, he's not going to retire yet. But I do think that we're looking at the end for Landon Dickerson a lot sooner than some people probably realized. I think 6'7" might be old to your homework. Yeah. Connor's my boy. He knows his stuff. The Birds have done it both ways, drafting players and also signing players like Runyon. Jason Peters was not a draft pick either. Yes, that is true. But you also got to think about it's not just, the line. It's what offensive lineman or style offensive lineman will whoever the new O-line coach want. What kind of O-line is going to be needed for Sean Mannion? What kind of skill sets are they going to need to be able to have with Sean Mannion? Of course it's Jalen Hurts' fault. Of course it is. It's Jalen Hurts' fault that Jarrett McCain got traded. It's Jalen Hurts' fault that the Phillies stink. It's Jalen Hurts' fault that the Union couldn't win a cup. It's Jalen Hurts' fault that Lindsey Vonn blew out her ACL a week before the Olympics. It's Jalen Hurts' fault that Bitcoin is dropping. Everything in the world is Jalen Hurts' fault. The market on AJ seems too early second today. Look, if you can get a second-round pick, especially an early one, sure, I do that trade. I eat the dead cap hit, and I do it because we got a lot of work to do on the offensive line. I saw that sleeping bag therapy that Harper is doing to heal his body and be able to play well into his 40s. Well, you better buy an extra-large size sleeping bag therapy for Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson. If it works, every member of the Eagles' offensive line should be hitting Bryce Harper up for that sleeping bag therapy situation. We got like the infrared lights and all. Looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. So you don't think it's incompetence to see what is happening and doing nothing. That's its worse. Then it's worse than incompetence if neglect of duty. Hold on a second, Doc. I got to find your last comment here. See, you used Sirianni's incompetence, and then you said Sirianni doing nothing. I agree him doing nothing was a bad thing. But incompetence in one situation versus the whole season or his whole job. Like, he was incompetent on that last decision. Yes. He didn't do the right thing. Yes. But it doesn't mean he's incompetent, period. Okay? Why do guys speak so confidently about what goes on in that locker room? We don't know. The media just writes novels for men. You ain't wrong on that, Keith. You're not. You're not. The media drives the narrative of what the fans believe. Plain and simple. And you got to pick and choose which ones you believe and don't. Funny thing is that a quarterback draw was wide open for Hurts on that last play. They didn't have any timeouts left, though. Do they have a bet if a ref gets knocked down on a play? I don't know about that one. I'm sure you could get odds on that somewhere, right? If Hurts runs, you would be in the Super Bowl. Probably. AJ is going nowhere. Why Pizza Hut's closing? Because they suck. I would be shocked if Dickerson played to 30. What's he now, 27? I think he's 27 now, 28? Yeah, I would be shocked if he plays more than 3 years. Green Steel, excellent, yeah. Lindsey Vonn blows an ACL just walking to the bathroom. She does. She does. But you know what? I give her credit for trying to push through. She's trying. She's making a run at the Olympics again. Good for her. One of the more decorated skiers in Olympic history for the United States. So I got no issues with her giving it a go. In fact, I love it. I respectfully disagree, Duck. He's gone. What? Who's gone? Guys, a lot of you have not yet. Please, guys, hit the like button, subscribe, share, do it. But let's hit it. We've only got 12 likes on this video. We've had over 20 people watching for a very long time today. So, guys, hit those buttons. I'd appreciate it. Green Steel is who we want Jalen to be. He needs to turn left. Yep. It's just a hands-off style. I'm 38, almost 39, dude. In the state of Washington, you only have to be 18, and that's where I was stationed then. Place that opening. Gotcha. I was thinking you weren't quite old enough, but maybe. Wasn't sure how old you were exactly. But I know I was 27 at that Super Bowl, and I know you're younger than me. So I was like, is he like 18, 20, 21 at that point? We don't know. what's going on. We don't. It was probably Nick Sirianni's idea to bring in the positivity bunny. I kind of feel like that was Landon Dickerson's idea for some reason. Lane and Landon waiting to see who they hire for the O-line coach. They might be. They might be. I don't think who the O-line coach matters. It matters, but it doesn't. It matters, but in a way it doesn't. It's like, look, as long as the O-line coach understands and believes and can adapt to what Sean Mannion wants to do, that's all that matters. Will he be on the same page with Sean Mannion? That's all that matters. Vaughn has broken every bone in her body and competing against people half her age. She's a warrior knowing her time is limited. More power to her. I love it. And let me tell you something. Whenever she's scheduled to be on my TV for the first time this year, or this week, or next week, whenever it is, I'll be watching. I'll be cheering for her. I love the Olympics. I will be watching the Olympics next week pretty regularly. I will be. I get excited. Problem this weekend with the Olympics is I can't. Waste Management, Phoenix Open, the Super Bowl will take precedent this weekend. But next week, a lot of Olympics on my TV. Facts, it don't matter. Jalen Hurts will sabotage the offense either way because Jalen Hurts is a saboteur. Come on now, of course. We'd have 27 Super Bowls in the last 4 years if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts. Let's be honest. They made all the changes that AJ called out. It would be pretty dumb to trade AJ. If it doesn't work out next year, then he's done. I agree. You know, Sean Mannion has got to be, let me backtrack. Everyone talked about, well, hopefully the Eagles told the offensive line, Nick Sirianni and Stoutland told the offensive line that Stout was out, right? Well, you better believe Sean Mannion probably talked to A.J. Brown before accepting the job, right? A.J. Brown didn't want this, or Sean Mannion didn't want this job without A.J. Brown being there. What Olympic events are good? They're all good. I love them all. I love the bobsled, the luge, downhill skiing. I love the figure skating events. I do. I get excited for I love the Summer Olympics, but I love specific things in the Summer Olympics. Winter Olympics, I love it all. I do. Because regardless of what people think, he spoke, they acted. It's true. With what they could. Not when, with what they could. Have you guys seen the Norway's men's ski jumping scandal? They're calling it Crotchgate. I have no idea what you're talking about there. 24 Super Bowls in the last 4 years if Jalen Hurts wasn't on the team. You're right. I know. You're spot on. Jalen Hurts sabotages everything. It's all his fault. I get it. I get it. Am I the only one who doesn't care about the Olympics? I'll watch hockey. That's it. Hockey will be the one thing I don't watch. Big Al in the Olympics. A lot of people don't get excited for the Olympics, but then they tune in and watch it anyway. I get excited. I love it. I watched ESPN The Ocho. I watch alternate sports all the time. Look it up. I will look it up. And the cost of getting rid of him will be lower, and it'll be more likely to get us the first round. Maybe. If all goes well, we won't be talking about trading A.J. Brown next year, right? You think Sean Mannion will bring in one of his guys for the O-line job? Well, he's already brought in one of his guys to be the running back tight end coach. So, yeah, I expect him to bring in somebody that he's worked with or somebody that's from that McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur tree that knows the style of philosophies he's going to want to implement. F the Olympics? No. The Olympics are great. National pride on a grand stage. There isn't much in the Winter Olympics I have competed in, so I don't feel it as much as summer. Yeah, that's true. I get that aspect of it. Skeet shooting or curling? Give me skeet shooting over curling any day. You know what I love? And I said the other day, I don't even remember what it's called. It's the shooting in the Olympics where they got the skiing, and then they got to stop and shoot, then they got to ski, shoot some more. Whatever that is, I love watching it. Why? I have no idea, but I love it. I'd rather we trade AJ first to move up, maybe to the Ravens' 14th pick. So hold on. Let me get this right. So you're saying the Eagles trade AJ in 23 to the Ravens for 14, or just the Eagles trade AJ for 14? Because you're not going to get the 14. You might get AJ and 23 up to the 14th, maybe. But I think you're selling really low for just a 9-spot move up in the draft. What's up, Bruce? How you doing? I feel the Patriots will win 24-17. I like the low-scoring game. I'm rooting for the Seahawks, so I'm predicting the Seahawks. Maybe I'm a little biased in that because I've got the Sam Darnold hype train going in my mind. But I like that you have a low-scoring game. I love the under in that scenario. I really do. So you're saying just move up 9 spots with it. I don't know if that's getting enough value, in my opinion, for A.J. Brown. That's just my opinion. I think you're better off just trading him for a second-round pick than moving up 9 spots. Maybe if you move up 9 spots and also collect a 3rd or 4th-round pick, so 23 and A.J. for 14 and a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick of the Ravens, that would excite me a little bit more in that scenario, Pump, in my opinion. Would have been a gold medalist at skeet shooting. You would have been? Yeah. If they thought AJ was that much the issue, they'd have gotten rid of him already and almost likely during the season. You know what's going to shock a lot of Eagles fans? Is when AJ Brown is voted by his teammates to be a captain next year. Right? That's going to be what shocks people. It's the winter triathlon. They used to have something similar in Summer Olympics with horse riding, fencing, and shooting. Wow. I don't remember that, but I would have loved that. I love watching fencing in the Summer Olympics. Love fencing. I want to try fencing someday. I really, really do. Throw in a 5th rounder. I don't know if that's enough, but I like the thought process because you're not going to get a 1st-round pick. But moving up, I don't know. Is there someone on the offensive line that could instantly be picked at 14? Maybe. It's interesting. I do not think Landon Dickerson will retire. I don't. I think he will retire sooner than people think, but I do not think he will be retiring this offseason. Biathlon is the event. Hey, look, I love it. I think it's exciting. I think it's fun. I get excited for it. Used to fence. Really, we got to meet up someday, and you could show me how to fence. I would love to just try it. Maybe it's the Olympics. Maybe it's a little bit of my swashbuckling love. You know, like I love pirate movies, and I love like the Three Musketeers and stuff like that. But I've always wanted to sword fight or fence, you know, just for the experience. The players could vote for a head coach. Would they vote for Sirianni versus who? If you took an anonymous poll of the Eagles players and said, who wants Nick Sirianni back? And if, you know, whatever happens, you know, in the vote, we'll decide to retain him or not. Let me tell you something. Nick Sirianni would still be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. If the players had the decision, he would still be the head coach. Guarantee it. Yeah, I think about 3 years, then we got to start thinking about it. I hope the Seahawks win, but I feel the Patriots will upset them as Vrabel's a great coach. Yeah, and you're right on that. That's very possible. Rooting for the Seahawks is probably why I'm predicting the Seahawks. I'm not looking logically at the game. The Patriots have a damn good chance of winning the game for sure. The last Olympics I watched was the last time I played the video game track and field on Nintendo. I hated that game so much. I am old and fat and haven't fenced since my late 20s. Look, I've never fenced, so I don't know. And I'm old and I'm fat too. Versus a half-bitten, Nick Sirianni or half-bitten tomato. Yeah, Sirianni wins. You like fencing too, Jonathan? I love it. I think it's exciting. It really is. It really, really, really is. And that's why I love watching the Olympics, summer or winter, because you get to see these other sports, right, that are never on TV. They get some recognition finally. They do. Guys, only one more person liked the video since I last asked. Hit the like. We're coming up on the final 5 minutes. If you haven't liked, hit the like button. I feel the Titans made a big mistake by firing Vrabel, as they would probably be good again by now. Yeah. I also don't want Vrabel to win because I said that the Patriots made a mistake by hiring him, which has been proven wrong, and the Super Bowl would definitely prove that opinion wrong. Yeah, I did not predict him being fat, but what we think is fat, is it fat? Who knows? Remember, you know what I always think? When people talk about chubby, fat, and overweight, I always think of people used to think that George Costanza was a fat, chubby, overweight, middle-aged guy. It was like in his 30s. I wish I had, that slender. So what's fat? People think George Costanza was fat. He wasn't. Yamaguchi, does she still skate? K1's probably impressed that I could say Yamaguchi. I don't know. What's over-unders on Sirianni versus Tomato? Not sure. Jesus Christ, guys. I'm going to teach Connor about the concept of value. Are you? Be polite to Connor, okay? 5'9", 260. Wow, you're shorter than I thought. I pictured Duck as this, 6'4", 260-pound buff dude. Just kidding. 5'9", 260. That's okay. Ask Connor if the kids still say fat. I'm sure they don't. They should have cornhole in the Olympics. You know what? I wouldn't be shocked if it does make the Olympics someday. She does in my dreams. She still skates. Yamaguchi still is in your dreams. Olympic names aren't hard to say. Golf names aren't hard to say. For some random reason, it's everything else that's hard to say for me. It really is. It's kind of funny what I struggle to say and what I don't struggle to say. Team was too far off from contention, and Titans probably didn't like his style. That they also had terrible GM and ownership. Trading away A.J. Brown, way too soon in his career. Giving Vrabel bad quarterback. I mean, just think about it. In his time in Tennessee, Vrabel's best quarterback was Ryan Tannehill. And I thought Tannehill got a bad rap. He wasn't a good quarterback, but he wasn't awful. But, man, they just didn't have it. With the whole package in Tennessee was the problem. Will what? You will what? Be nice tonight? You better be. Or I will be gatekeeping the comments tonight, just so you know. Massively gatekeeping them. Anyway. No, she will not skate. Nancy Kerrigan, man. She was phenomenal. Tanya Harding. I remember that unfolding as a young teenager so much. It was crazy. I do find your pronunciation of the most Western European being so bad, but you're able to say anything from the Euros East interesting. Hey, look, a lot of my name mispronunciation, it is an act. You might find it hard to believe, but some of it is an act. And when I say something like Yamaguchi so easy, it's because I forget I'm supposed to mispronounce it. Your early golf bets doing anything. Look, I had a lot of love this week for Matthew Fitzpatrick, Jake Knapp, Maverick Manila, Pearson Cootie. They were all guys all over my card, and they're all at the top of the leaderboard. Waste Magic Phoenix Open. I'm going to win some big money, and you're going to be regretting not following me. It's minus 1,000 that Connor is smarter and better on a mic than me. Minus 1,000. You got to lay $1,000 to win $1. That's how much likely that is, okay? I barely even remember Tara Lipinski. Y'all heard it here. Phil is faking it for. I fake it all the time for you. Fake, 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 fake. I will take that. Look, it is. You know what? The whole name mispronunciation thing started when I accidentally mispronounced. I still don't know how to say his name, but Aqua Bowman started something, and I just can't let it go. Aqua Bowman and Bazudenhout started something that just will never go away. All right? Plain and simple. Can't help it. It is what it is. Do with that information as you will. All right, guys, I got Seattle winning 24-20 in the Super Bowl. I do like the Ramon Stevenson MVP, but going with Seattle, I'm going to go JSN with the MVP. They're going to give it to a wide receiver this year. Maybe? Or Sam Darnold. That's the easy pick there, Sam Darnold. I love 2.5 players throwing a pass, plus 160. Maybe that's how Jackson Smith-Njigba wins the MVP. He catches a touchdown and throws a touchdown. I mean, that's how he does it. And I love Seattle throwing a pass from the 1-yard line, plus 550. Phil has to get trading. What? No. Ring the bell. A.J. Barner out of nowhere. Look, I think it's interesting. I wrote it down. I haven't looked up the odds yet for it, but I don't hate it. Drake or May, now he's in the Super Bowl. Or Darnold or May who in the Super Bowl. Look, I think it's an interesting quarterback matchup, the young hype train versus the guy that never lived up to the hype. I think May versus Darnold is an excellent, excellent story in the Super Bowl. Poll results. Who's winning? Seattle Seahawks winning the Super Bowl 81%. New England Patriots winning 19%, which is crazy because Seattle's a conference rival, but New England with Brady and all, with Philly fans, obviously we hate them. I'm shocked but not shocked how the poll went today. Domination by Seahawks in the poll. Want to shout out Sam Oshtry for coming on again. Guys, make sure you check out his work. He does a lot of stuff with Sean Bernard, the Pace and Space podcast, almost daily on their channels. Fantastic always, and he writes for The Score. You got to check out Sam Oshtry, rising young star in the content world for sure. Sam Darnold MVP. It's Sam Darnold time for glory after his journey in the league. I love it. I love stories like that, redemption stories, Jonathan. Love it. The battle or what could be and what never was. Maybe. The poor Jets say it is. Was Sean Bernard pissed yesterday? I was out door dashing all day yesterday, and then when I came home, I had some work to do. Yeah, did not catch Sean Bernard yesterday, but I've never seen Sean Bernard pissed. Sean Bernard is so even-keeled all the time. I got to go back and catch that. Just do it themselves, letting 16-year-olds do your picks and trade you. Great week. Yeah, I'll be here tonight, 7:30 p.m. live tonight with Connor back here, talking more NBA. Maybe we'll ask him about the Super Bowl, but mostly NBA talk for me and Connor tonight. He's going to want to talk power rankings. He's going to want to talk trades. He's going to want to talk it all. So we're going to do what we got to do tonight. So bring the love for Connor tonight. But with that being said, we got to wrap this baby up for the day. You all have a great, great day. Go Birds. Be safe for Super Bowl Sunday. And bubbles up.